Hey everyone, it's Chess Guy, and today I'm going to be showing you 5 things you should do in the chess opening. This is the opposite from last week's video where I talked about things you shouldn't do. And again, I'm not saying that you should be rushing to do these at the first available opportunity. They're just things that are generally good plays in the opening. Number 1 is something you've probably heard a million times, and that's to develop your pieces because it's so important. So what does developing mean? Developing your pieces means getting your pieces off the back rank and ideally to the center of the board. When pieces are in the center of the board, they can attack more squares, and when you control the center, it's much easier to maneuver your pieces around across the board, whether you're attacking or defending. Tip number 2 applies specifically when you're playing black in a king's pawn opening, and it's that you want to try to develop your knight to f6 as early as possible. This is the best square for the knight, which also puts pressure on the e4 pawn. Now, you should do this whenever your own e-pawn is not being attacked. So let's say white plays knight f3. You want to first guard your e-pawn, and then let's say white plays something else. Then you can play knight f6 because now your e-pawn is protected. Tip number 3 applies mostly in king's pawn openings, and it's to try to play d4 whenever your opponent plays c6, or if you're playing black, you should play d5 whenever your opponent plays c3. And the reason why you want to do that is because playing c3 takes away the best square for the knight. Now, if black plays d5, takes, white can no longer play knight c3 to kick out the queen, and black gets to have their queen in the center of the board, which is usually bad, but in this case it's good because white has no way of kicking it out. Tip number 4 goes back to the idea of bringing your queen out early. Most people will tell beginners not to bring their queen out early because then your queen will just get hit by other pieces which will force you to move again. And this also applies to queen h5 and queen h4 because the knight can come out and harass the queen. However, when this is not possible, queen h5 and queen h4 are some of the strongest moves on the board because it activates your queen to a very powerful square and also prevents your opponent from making the same move. Tip number 5 applies specifically when your b-pawn captures a piece on c3 or c6. One way this could happen is in the Scotch opening. White plays knight f3, black defends, white then strikes in the center, takes, black plays bishop c5 to put extra pressure on the knight, white takes, and black doesn't want to take this way because then they would trade queens and lose the right to castle, so black takes like this. Now in a position like this, the queenside bishop often doesn't have to be developed because it can come out either way, and the rook can also utilize the open b file. So that's it for this video. If you want to see more chess tips in the future, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.